Hello and welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be working on Accordion 2, so it looks like it's the follow-up to the original Accordion, and there's some code already in here that does what we want. So it looks like they have some more requirements here for ARIA practices, so essentially like accessibility stuff. And so you want to have all these things, so they tell you like what things you want to have here, and then basically we're going to do this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at like what's already in here and how is it working. So this app, you have a wrapper, and then you have an accordion, and it takes these sections, and this is kind of how I did my code as well. So essentially you have objects, and each object looks like has a value, a title, and contents. And then you pass it into the accordion. And then there's an open section state. And then you take all the sections and you map, so you have the value, title, contents. You give it a variable called isExpanded based on if it's open or not. So this opens as a set. I think I had like an array of booleans or something. I guess either one's fine. Maybe this is a little bit cleaner actually, instead of having an array of booleans and having to like redo the array. Hard to say. Okay, so essentially you have the accordion item, you have the key, you have a title, and then when you click, you're gonna take the old open sections, and then you're also going to, okay, so if it had the value, you're gonna delete it, and if it didn't have the value, then you add the value. That's fine, I guess. Yeah, so this will be better. No, because you're still making a new set. Yeah. So you're still copying. Yeah, I mean, basically the same as an array, I guess, preference. Anyway, the span, the accordion icon is expanded or not. And so, okay, accordion icon. Okay, so if it's expanded, it'll have this accordion icon rotated. This accordion icon rotated, I guess, is the thing that makes it this guy. So if we just like toss this out real quick. Yeah, so that's that. So if it's expanded, then it'll be flipped over. Okay. And then you have a div with the contents, and if it's not expanded, it's hidden. So you can do hidden on a div, and then you show the contents. Okay. So let's just go through the things we want here. So the title of each accordion header is contained within a button. I think we have that already. Also, I figured out you can't actually inspect the page here. So you can go to these and you can inspect, and I just had like a pop-out inspect. And obviously this is like very useful for front-end development, like inspection and networking and all that. So essentially we can just look here, and there is already a button, like this is a button. So we're good there. Now the next step, let's minimize this again. So if the accordion panel is visible, the header should have ARIA expanded true, if not false. Okay. So the header is going to be this button, and this button is going to be based on if it's visible. So we can just do that, that's fine. So we can say ARIA expanded, and we can just give it, so basically if it's visible, which is expanded. So if it is expanded, it'll be true. If it's not, it'll be false. Okay, next one. The accordion header icon has ARIA control set to the ID of the element containing the accordion panel. Okay, so the accordion panel is, actually, let's take a look at this. So let's take a look at how this ARIA controls work. So ARIA controls. Okay, here it is. Okay, so they have a tabs example. So they have something, I guess these are like, so this is the headers of a tab, kind of like I did yesterday. And then ARIA controls is the thing that, so basically ARIA controls is the ID of the content. Yeah, so this content is here. Okay, so what we want essentially is in here, we want to have an ARIA controls, and we want to have the ID of this guy. And because you can have, so because we're building this tab, like you could have multiple tabs throughout the page, right? So not tab, I guess accordion. So like imagine you have a huge page, and this you're building this accordion, and that page might have like multiple accordions through the page. So you want to make a unique ID here. You can't just be like the value or something, or you know you might have another accordion with JavaScript or whatever. So the way to make a new ID that React actually provides, you can actually use React use ID. And so what that will do is we can go const, we can go like component ID or something. Use ID, I think it is. Okay, and then we can import it. And what this will basically do is it will, when the component mounts, it will generate like a new ID for the component. So we can even print it here if we want to. So let's just say, yeah, so we can even add it to the div. So we can say like, show the component ID. So here it is R3. And if we remake the page, so here it is. I don't know if this is like the actual ID. This might be some encoding or something. Essentially, you never have to print it, but yeah. And so if we have multiple components is the nice thing. So let's say we have like 2 of these. So now you could see like as we have more, these all get new IDs. So we don't have to worry about like having the same ID. So then what we can do from there is we can take this ID and then we can just basically incorporate in all of these things. So we can call this guy like ID and header or something, for example, right? We can go like component ID with a header, let's say like maybe something like this, right? So this will be component ID and then this will be like header. And we can give this to the header, and then to the content, we can go component ID content. And then we know for sure they'll be unique. And then also, so each of these need to have like a different one. So if we put this in, let's say here, so each one of these is going to have this now. So we want all of these to be unique. So instead of header, we can also attach the something else that's unique to this, which is like the value. Values are unique, right? So then now we have the component ID HTML, component ID CSS, and so on and so on. So we can say like component ID and value, and then this top guy can be header maybe, or whatever, just as long as it's unique. And then the next thing can be what's it called? The contents. So we can make both of these ID. So this is what we're going to use. So we're going to say, let's give this an ID first of all. Or actually, we need to give this div an ID because this is the one we need to be referring to. So this ID can be, and you can make a function for this if you want, but so essentially it's going to be component ID with a value with content, let's say. Okay. And now we can save this in a variable as well. Maybe that's going to be better. Actually, it doesn't matter, whatever. So essentially this will be the ID of this guy, right? So it'll be like a dynamic ID. We can also make them up here as well, just so we could refer to them. That's also fine, I guess. So we can go const like panel ID equals this. And then we can just say the ID is the panel ID here. And then if we print the panel ID just to show this, so each of these has this. So the component ID and then the value and then content, which is what we want, right? So we want everything to be unique. And then if we have multiple of these accordion guys, that'll be the case. Right? So if we have another one, then you could see like this is a new ID, so these will always be unique as long as you don't have multiple of the same value in an accordion, but that wouldn't really make sense. Okay. Yeah, so we have this panel ID. Now let's make, I think that's all we need actually. So we want this going back here. So the header has ARIA expanded true. Accordion header has ARIA controls. So this will be ARIA controls. Will be the panel ID. And the ID is in here as well. Okay, next one. Each element that serves as a container for a panel has a role region and ARIA labeled by with a value that refers to the button. Okay, so this guy is the container for the panel. So it needs to have a region, and I think the region, let's take a look at ARIA region. Is an ARIA region, or let's look it up. Region HTML or something. ARIA region. Okay, so region or role region, I guess it needs. Oh, okay, so it tells you. So it needs to have a role region. So role region. And you can have different roles. So I guess region is basically just like a section. Document areas deemed significant. Okay. Okay. And then the ARIA labeled by with a value that refers to, okay, so this needs to be the ID of this button now. And we can kind of do the same thing. We can go button ID equals the same kind of deal. So component ID value, and now this can be header or button or whatever. Call this header. So we can call this like header ID even. And now we can give this button the header ID. So, all right. So this ARIA labeled by means like this is labeled by the button. So we can put it in here. Okay. So we don't need to show these guys anymore. But yeah, if we did show this as well, so this is the panel ID, and if we actually show the header ID, okay, maybe on like a new line or something, or just let's get rid of these. Okay, so these are the header IDs, so RF JavaScript header, and blah, blah, blah. So we can get rid of that as well now. Now we should have everything we need. And then from here, we should be able to inspect the page. Go bang. Okay, so here it is. So here's like one example button. So here we go. So let's take a look. So this ARIA controls should refer to the ID of the div that it holds, which is this. And then this ARIA labeled by refers to the header, which is this ID. So I think that's it. Hopefully I called these things correctly. But yeah, essentially this is how you do all these things. So the big takeaways here is if you want some ARIA stuff, it's kind of annoying, honestly, to get all these. You probably have to, like, a good way to honestly get most of the ARIA stuff you need is GPT. Like which ones you actually need for semantics, or just study accessibility. But there's like a lot here, so you can look at all these. And I guess the more you do, the more you learn them. I personally don't make too many like enterprise components or something, so I don't need to use this too much. But this is how you would do it if you need it. But also the main takeaways is if you want a uniquely identifiable thing within a component, React has this. You can use UseID, and then you can just combine this with whatever other stuff to give you, things that are clear. So you can use the ID of the component plus content header, whatever you need essentially. So that's going to be all for this video. Hopefully you liked it. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.